like a horror film.
Right?
Yeah.
I spent my dash today while I was dashing, asking Twitter and the Discord for horror movies that would be good for a birthday party full of 12-year-old girls, but not like kiddie horror movies because they're too sophisticated for that. Yeah. Like the first thing I got on Twitter and in the Discord were, how about Goosebumps? I was like, no, that's a kiddie movie. See, we don't want we want an actual horror movie. They want scary movie.
How old is the kid in question?
She turns 12.
Well, there's always the ring.
That was one of the things that that was suggested. Yeah,
because with them, you don't want blood. That knocks a whole group out. You also don't want kitties, so that means, okay, what is just creepy?
I mean,
a client...
Bella's very different from your kids in that, like, my first suggestion was scary stories to tell in the dark, which is like baby's first real horror movie. It's not a kiddie horror movie, but it's still not as bad as like horror movies. And Bella was like, "Oh no, I've seen that." I was like, "Oh, no."
I say, if you don't find the old afraid. Are you afraid of the dark?
Yeah, see, that's kiddie, not scary.
They were pretty creepy.
Okay, Brian, go.
The one with well, okay, now see, you've got me going in two directions. So the first thing I was going to say is I had a client once who will remain nameless for obvious reasons, who showed her family, including some kids that I think were under 6, Brightburn, and then didn't understand why later they were having nightmares, and I'm like, because the thing that always drove me crazy working at movie theaters as a teenager were the parents that were like, this film was terrible, and I'm like, yes, it's rated R. You have a 5-year-old, you monster. Get out of here. I don't like lack of parental responsibility. But then, Dirk, what was the one that you mentioned?
Goosebumps.
Yeah, and she said they weren't that scary. As a kid, when I saw the one with the vampire, the Nosferatu that came out of the movie screen, that guy was behind every door at night for like a while. So depends on the episode. Some of them were like, even as a kid, they were too like so cheesy that I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. But that one stood out to me. And yes, that was actually before I worked concessions in a movie theater. Ironically enough, I almost questioned looking back that I even took a job like that after seeing that show. But that was, like 10 years later, so
Oh wait,
I guess
Brian's
I grew
not
up in the
404.
meantime. No, I'm not.
Whoops. All right, well, given that it's almost 9 o'clock and we haven't started yet, let's get started.
Okie dokie.
Because we're going to lose Brian before we get to Red, so here we go.
Everything's
Everybody,
a red rare.
Shut up, Brian. Ow, jam. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mana Pool. This is episode 648 of the Mana Pool. We are extremely late getting started, so I'm not going to let the dorks introduce themselves. We've got Brian.
Yo.
We've got Mike.
Hey.
Mike's awake, sort of. And we've got Dirk.
Howdy, howdy.
Excellent. Now, let's go. This is episode, what'd I say, 648? That's what I meant to say if it's not what I said. We're very late, and we're going to lose Brian in like 20 minutes, so we've got to get started.
I'm here.
And Mike is already asleep, and Dirk hates us.
I'm not asleep, I'm just defeated.
I mean, same thing. For the purposes of this, same thing. Mike's computer hates him, and us, and everybody, and I'm pretty sure it is trying to plot the end of humanity.
If this is the computer you're going to use on Saturday, I'm just going to go ahead and kill your character now and save you the trouble.
This is the computer I always use.
Oh,
all right, rocks fall, you're dead. So.
Like that old penny arcade. A dragon eats you.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, this week we're going to go back to the Mythic Conscription. Well, because it's been a while since we did Torment, and we're gonna dive into Judgment. Luckily, it's a small set, so we might be able to get through like red or green before Brian passes out. Also, there aren't any rare artifacts,
That tired.
which weirds me out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wonder if there were any artifacts in Judgment. I will check.
Oh, okay. Mike will check.
So,
So, Mythic Conscription, for those of you that are either new here or not paying attention, or if you just like to hear my explanations of things, we're going back to sets. What in the world? Sorry, my cabling over here is all sorts of crossed up. There we go. My cable. No, what? We're going back to sets from before the days of the Mythic Rarity, because the Mythic Rarity didn't show up until Lorwyn, right?
Alara.
No, Alara.
Sorry, Lorwyn was where we got Planeswalkers.
Yeah, Planeswalker.
Yes.
I knew it was something like that.
Yeah. Close.
Right, so all the sets before Alara block are up for grabs, and in fact, we've done most of them.
Yeah.
And at some point, we decided to just, after jumping around a lot, we decided to just start at the beginning and just work our way forward. And now we're at Judgment. We've already done Onslaught block, and I think all of Mirrodin block. I can't remember what's next, but I've got it written down in a notepad file somewhere. Yeah, somewhere. I think, didn't we do, we did Mirrored. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're not doing that yet. We got to do this one first.
And to answer the open question, there were no artifacts in Judgment. There were 3 non-basic lands, all at uncommon, but no other colorless cards.
Natuko Monastery.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, that's all I got.
The other 2 were Croson Verge.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love Croson Verge.
Yeah, and Riftstone Portal.
I don't even remember what that does.
If it's in the graveyard, then other lands you control tap for a white or a green. Is that right?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I do remember
I
that.
thought it was pretty neat.
So, yeah, what we're doing is we're looking at Judgment. We're looking at the rares in Judgment and determining which, if any, of the rares could have been printed at Mythic if Mythic was a thing then. And as always, this is seriously just an opinion thing, because sometimes we look at what Mythics would have been at the time, and other times we look at what Mythics are now. It just depends on what mood we all seem to be in. And we've had many back and forths about this on these episodes. And yet we still don't learn.
I try to do it by what would have been printed, but it's almost impossible to not have some. And you know what? The whole point of this is to discuss it, so let's not get uptight about it. That's what you guys are for, is to, get uptight about it and tell us when we're wrong.
That is what the audience is for, correct?
Yeah.
So, you remember we said last time we did this, which I looked up what episode that was, and then I forgot. Torment was a heavily skewed towards black.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the allies of black, red and blue were next in line, and then white and green got shorted compared to
Yes.
So
Judgment.
black had more, and green and white had less, and red and blue, were they about the same as usual?
roughly. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And in the story, Chainer has the orb thingy, the
Mirari.
Thank you. I kept thinking Otaria, but that's the continent. The Mirari, and like all of his polluted thoughts are like warping reality, and you have nightmares and all that sort of stuff. So but I guess Kamal has wrested the Mirari away from him. So what's going on in Judgment then?
I mean, I don't think we usually spend much time on the story, but
Yeah.
No, I meant
Anyway,
mechanically.
yeah,
mechanically.
mechanically and reflecting the shift of power in the story. Um, the good guys make a comeback and they win. So, um, Black has a very small slice of the pie in this one. There's only 6 Black rares in Judgment. Blue and Red are still there in their normal-ish numbers. For each of them have 8 rares. But then White and Green get the advantage. Each of them have 9 rares, and all 4 of the multicolored cards in the set are green white.
Yep. So yeah, this is something they'd never done before and haven't done again.
No.
But they decided to balance the scales after Torment with Judgment. So it's all very strange. And also, Gothic just threw 1,050 bits. So thanks, buddy.
That's a lot of bits.
That is not a small number of bits.
Is that bytes yet? I don't know how these things. I don't know computers, so.
As long as it's not Mike's computer, I think we're fine. Mike, did you name your computer either HAL or Skynet by chance?
No.
Okay. Maybe we're not all screwed then.
I think if it was Skynet, we'd be fine. There'd be a Terminator coming at you and it'd be loading some program as it was advancing on you.
Well, I mean, now that you bring up the name, I named it Lappy C50B as kind of like a reference to the way Strong Bad named one of his computers, and he has some weird problems with his computers, so.
I think we've discovered the issue.
Never ending soda. By the way, for anyone listening to the audio version on the podcast feed, don't forget, if you prefer, you can watch the video live on twitch.tv/themanapool, or you can watch the video recorded on youtube.com/themanapool. Because, that's how this works. So, shall we get into White?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's.
Yep. Every card is mythic. Next.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far.
You know what? We are going to start at White. Serious question. There's one cycle here.
Yeah, I was about to say, what do we do about the wishes? I don't think wishes are mythic, are they?
I don't know.
Borderline. Is this something they really did at all before this? So I feel like the answer is no.
Not like this.
It was Ring of Maruf was the only example in the game before they introduced the cycle of wishes, and they made some callbacks to it since then.
Yeah. And yeah, they have been referenced. I think maybe, especially in not so much White. Although I feel like this is not a cycle where some of them are mythic and some of them are rare, unlike incarnations, but we'll get to those in a minute. But I feel like these all possibly could be mythic, and in some colors, in a color maybe where they don't have a whole lot else to choose from, it kind of helps tie everything else in together. The wishes all are instants or sorceries that let you, as written, not using the modern language, choose an artifact or enchantment card, you example for the Golden Wish, you own from outside the game. Reveal that card and put it into your hand. Remove Golden Wish from the game. reason I'm reading it like that is just more to get the impact of this card. Right
Hey
away.
Brian,
Yeah.
that is what the Oracle text says too.
Mm-hmm.
You may
Oh,
reveal
really?
an artifact or enchantment card you own from outside the game and put it into your hand. Exile Golden Wish.
Okay.
Huh.
Yeah. I didn't know if they'd changed it. Obviously, remove from the game is changed to exile it. But
Yeah.
so yeah, so even now, you're not picking a card necessarily from exile. In fact, does this pick a card from exile anymore, or have they changed how that works? Is exile still technically in the game?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Exile's in
they
the game.
changed that functionality at a certain point.
Yeah.
When I think it was when they
When
did
they
the
named it.
renaming and reshuffling of rules for
Okay.
the M10. Was it 10th edition or M10? I can't remember which is which.
Whatever.
When they did that big revamp, and then outside the game is literally outside the game. So
Okay.
that means it can't get from exile. In
Okay.
casual play, you go get your notebook. In tournament play, you go get something from your sideboard.
Yeah. Okay. Uh so yeah, so this is something that even now they've put more functionality actually on the exiled zone, because now you have cards that you can play from exile. You have things that maybe count cards you control in exile or the opponent controls in exile or whatever. This is still very, very unique and very, very not untouched because they touch it here, but not something they do almost ever. It's not like this effect is like, oh, there's something that does this in standard all the time, you know? Um,
Although when there is, we still call them wishes.
yeah.
It's like, oh, what's this
I
do? Oh, it's a wish for something,
It's a
something. You go,
wish.
oh, okay.
I'm gonna make the case that I think these probably would have been printed at Mythic. I think there's a discussion to be had whether or not they would be printed at Mythic now. Is Golden Wish Mythic?
I mean, for 5 mana, not really.
No,
No, no, no.
I
I'm
think they
thinking of
would
a.
have. I think they would have pitched it that way at the time.
I don't know.
What the
I'm
heck?
I'm getting a vibe, and chat, feel free to chime in here. But I'm getting a vibe that this is the sort of thing they would have made as a rare cycle just to get it out there for people to play. Cause yes, it's super unique, but it's also not like busted or that bizarre. I guess at the time it might have been, but
Yeah, at the time it might have been because, like I said, literally there was only one example in the entire game before this,
Yeah.
like from 93, 94.
but it's not like complicated or game breaking or even all that powerful until you get into wish boards in a tournament setting.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah,
don't know
but
if
just because
just
something
the
isn't
novelty of getting
Yeah, something from outside the game which could change the setting of the game.
But just because something isn't powerful does not mean that it's not mythic.
yeah, but just because something's new doesn't mean it's mythic by the same token.
That is true. So I found a card to use because sometimes we talk about, well, this wasn't reprinted as mythic. The worst feeling for a mythic card is when it's reprinted at,
At
I don't
uncommon.
know, uncommon. Exactly. You took the words out of my mouth. So, but an M14, a core set, they printed the Ring of Three Wishes. It's an artifact. It comes onto the battlefield with three counters on it. You pay 5 and tap and remove a wish counter from Ring of Three Wishes. Search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle. It's not the same thing, but it's clearly a callback. But it has different functionality because it's not getting cards you own from outside the game.
Okay, well then let's look at something that has a direct
Okay.
relationship.
All right.
In Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, Wish was printed at rare. For 2 and a red sorcery, you may play a card you own from outside the game this turn.
Okay.
You don't even have to tell your opponent what it is when you resolve Wish. You just until end of turn you can do something.
And you know what? I don't know why I didn't even see that when I was That is a more direct comparison. You have the added restriction of playing it that turn, but that is more of a direct comparison.
Yeah, so by current standards, no, they're not mythic. But I think it was enough of a flashy game bending effect at the time that they would have been then.
It
I mean,
could have easily.
some of these are costed all wrong. Like Golden Wish is way too expensive to the point that it's almost useless.
Yeah.
Well, and Burning Wish is probably not expensive enough.
Burning Wishes, woo!
But
Burning Wish costs 2, by the way.
yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know. So okay, let's run through these real quick. Golden Wish is artifact or enchantment for
It
5,
costs 5.
at sorcery
And is a
speed.
sorcery. Yep.
Cunning Wish is an instant that gets an instant for 2 and a blue, which seems about right. I think that's about right.
Yeah.
It,
Mhm.
it's dangerous enough, but it's probably just right on.
Yeah. Death Wish is a sorcery for 1 black that lets you get any card of any type, but you have to lose half your life rounded up.
Yeah. It's still fun. I like it.
Oh yeah. Burning Wish costs 1 and a red and is a sorcery, and gets a sorcery. And then
And has seen serious tournament play. Like
Yeah.
there's no question about the power level of that card.
and then Living Wish is a sorcery that gets a creature or land for 1 and a green.
That's a good fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So of all of them, really only Burning Wish and maybe Cunning Wish are like
Power level.
power level high. But they all have this really interesting, unique effect that I would say could have, if it was mythic, it could have been used to push the set. Like to be like, hey, look at this, because they make some things mythic to be like, look at this thing you might get, isn't it amazing?
That is a good
So-
point.
So
I could
I
also,
think-
if Mythic was a thing, I could also see them making them Mythic just so they weren't clogging up drafts.
Yeah.
Which is a factor sometimes.
It is. It is. You open a pack and you've got Death Wish staring at you, and you're like, that's awesome, but no, probably not this time, Mike. No. And then, is it going to happen often? No, but this is a small set, especially when you used to draft more of the set by itself. You open the next pack, Death Wish, and you're like,
At the time, it would have been.
oh, I guess it
1
would
pack
have
of Odyssey,
been.
1 pack of Torment, 1 pack of Judgment.
Okay, so then
In that
someone
order.
passes you the card, and you're like, oh, you again. So, or really, or Golden Wish, So let's say it's a very solid. I think it's a more solid maybe than some of the maybes we've seen in previous ones.
But I think you might be right. I know I was originally a naysayer, but I'm leaning more now that I've gone down. I was just staring at Golden Wish that whole time, which is
Yeah, that's the problem.
clearly the worst one of the lot as far as what it does for what it costs.
It's the worst one and one of the strongest colors in the set, so it's weird. Like,
it is weird.
Hey, Dark, what do you think about the wishes?
I agree that Burning Wish is uber strong. I've seen Living Wish used to devastating effect.
Ow.
Do what?
Oh, I said ow.
Yeah, it's
Almost sound like you said Al, and I'm like, who's Al? Did we play with him?
Oh, is Al's not in the chat, sorry.
so. I mean, and for 2, you can go and find any creature that could essentially fix the situation. So I feel like that's
Excuse me.
leaning towards Mythic. Burning Wish, again, any card. Yeah, you lose life, but life is easy to get back. It's in black. So,
He
and
meant
that's
Death
again
Wish.
for 3. That's cheap. Cunning Wish, we said that's priced about right for it to be where it is, but that you could get an instant. Now again, I didn't play during this time, so the list of instances that you would pull like you could pull out of the game at that time, I don't know.
I love it
But I
when Dirk's World
imagine
of
that there was,
Warcraft comes out when he
you know,
Instances.
many instances. Yeah.
Oh,
you know,
we all know multiple people at the shop who pluralize instant as instances.
there you go. So I got one person in my corner. But anyway, um, but whatever instant card there was at the time. So I don't know what one we could pull with it, but I imagine that there were probably some that could be game-changing cards.
Ow.
But I do agree that Golden Wish, that is dumb expensive for something that, at the time, enchantment-wise, I don't think enchantments were really. I mean, there were good ones, but I don't think there was anyone
They
that would.
got burned. They got burned by Combo Winter. So
Yeah, just
Yeah, but at this point, that was how many years before?
some things you never stop seeing when you close your eyes. So
That is a good point.
like the girl from The Ring. Hint, hint.
So there's
So-
only one person in chat that's said anything about this.
Yeah.
What do
Yeah.
the rest of you think? Give us some feedback here. That's why you're watching live, right?
yeah. I still think like there's
Well, that and the
a
free
bunch
pizza.
of them that I would consider to be mythic. Golden is not that. It's too expensive for what it does.
Yeah, but we're looking at the cycle as a whole, not the individual
Yeah, the
things.
cycle as a whole. I'm leaning towards yes, mythic.
Well, that sounds like that's all of us mostly convinced then. Because
Yeah.
I think Brian and Dirk, or Brian and Mike were already on the mythic side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wasn't like, mythic or die, like, but I thought it was a pretty strong case for it. But I think that's the only real cycle that runs through this set. So
That's in all the colors. Yeah, it is.
that's
I'm
in all
pretty
the
sure.
colors. You have a couple other things that are actually completions of cycles from previous sets. For example, in white, Test of Endurance. Now, what have we said about these in the previous sets?
I do
We're
not
talking about these
remember.
We have disagreed about them.
That sounds about right. So I'm referring to the enchantment um, winning conditions. In this set, we have Test of Endurance in white, which for 2 white and 2 mana, 2 generic mana, enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 50 or more life, that's a lot, you win the game. For some reason, in my head, I assumed it was 40. I was reviewing this set earlier. I know what this does. I kept going, 50's a lot. I
50
would
is
have
a lot.
won. There was one game where I like ulted an Ajani and gained like a bajillion life, and I would have won that game. I lost because I was playing against control. But so there's that, and then in green we have Epic Struggle for 2 and 2 green. Enchantment at the beginning of your upkeep. If you control 20 or more creatures, you win the game. And then in previous sets you had Chance Encounter in red, Mortal Combat in black, and Battle of Wits in blue. And I do think Battle of Wits we probably had the most discussion about because it really fundamentally changes the way you play the game. Mortal Kombat, if I recall, we were like, meh. And Chance Encounter, I feel like we were kind of split.
By the way, if you want to hear what we had to say about Torment, that was episode 639. And Odyssey Hang on. Hey, oh, here we go. Odyssey was 633. So in case you want to go fact check anything that we're saying about previous episodes, because we might not remember. And when I say might not, I mean definitely don't. But okay. Dorks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Everybody just got dead silent at the same time. I was like, did I disconnect?
You weren't talking to me. I didn't want to be rude.
I've been told to let other people talk, so yes, sir.
Not to extreme degrees. You still butt in. You know, go for it. Yeah, both of these though, the test of endurance and the epic struggle, they feel fine at rare for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of rare, and I think they play better at rare because if you want to build a deck, you're probably gonna want multiple copies of the alternate win the game cards, so you'll draw them more often, and it's just a pain in the neck. It'd be a pain in the neck to collect if they were mythic. So just let them be rare. They're fine. There's nothing
I mean,
too crazy about
not
them.
that Wizards cares about how hard it is to collect 4.
Well, let's pretend for the sake of discussion that they do.
I mean, that's not me complaining about new Wizards. Wizards has never cared.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I didn't mean to take up a lot of time on something I didn't think was a serious contender, but I just thought that's really kind of finishing the cycles from the other sets. But I think they're fine
Sure.
at rare. I agree with the comments so far. So
Yeah.
okay.
All right, let's get this big elephant out of the way that is glory.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mentioned the incarnations earlier, and actually a lot of them are at uncommon in this set. There's the cycle of uncommon incarnations, one in each color, and if they are in your graveyard and you control at least one basic land, that
Of the
basically that
appropriate type.
produces of the appropriate type, then all of your creatures have whatever effect. So Valor in white, while this is in your graveyard and you control the planes, all of your creatures have first strike.
Yeah.
Valor's cool. The rest are actually kind of silly. Wonder in blue is on here because it was reprinted at rare at some point. I think in a commander set. Wonder has never been back
It
Modern
in
was.
Horizons
standard.
2, believe it or
Yeah.
not.
Modern
Oh,
Horizons too.
so which puts it in modern, but has never been reprinted in standard. Wonder requires an island, but all your stuff has flying, which sorry first strike, but buh. Um,
Wait, why
Filth.
are we spending so much time on the uncommon?
Yeah,
Because I just want to say filth because it's the best answer to every Mad Lib ever. But otherwise, Chewie's right. I guess what I'm doing is I'm distinguishing them. So there's that cycle of uncommons, and yes, they should be uncommon. There are 2 rare incarnations.
Because
Glory
Brian
is-
started it, Filth is Swamp Walk in black. Right? Is it Swamp Walk?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's Swamp Walk. Yeah.
Anger is
Anger.
Haste in red, and Brawn, which is the one that scared us the most in our multiplayer games back in college, is Trample.
Mm-hmm.
So all of them have a place, and actually even Valor, while I kind of knocked on it at the beginning, I mean, in Limited, Valor is dumb because combat. So, but again,
Yeah.
all uncommon, we're not considering them, but there's the 2 rare incarnations, and Glory is one of them. And Glory, if you're me, is awesome. And Glory, if you're not Brian, well, I'm Brian, so I'll ask you guys, what is Glory?
I kill Brian if you can, because Brian was the only one of us that I'm aware of that owned a glory.
Yep.
And
I
every
had one.
time,
I had a pre-release promo version.
did you
But for
never
some
put it
reason
into a?
I
Yeah.
did. I just had the one, but for some reason I felt like I could never make good use of it.
But all of a sudden, I would play Glory or mill my own Glory away, and there was an announcement to the whole table whenever I said Glory is in the graveyard.
Yup.
Repeat, this is not this is an announcement that was made. Like, this is not a drill. So, Glory, to play to the battlefield, should you choose to do so, which I mean has its own uses because then no one wants to wipe the board. Uh, but to play it costs 3 and 2 white, and it's a 3/3 flyer, 3/3 incarnation. It has flying,
Oops.
so for 3/3 with flying for 5 back then, that was not terrible. But the ability, pay 2 and a white, choose a color. Creatures you control gain protection from the chosen color until end of turn. Activate only if Glory is in your graveyard. You would not believe how useful this ability is. It turns off all of the non-sweeper removal ever. And we have played with Graveyard Hate in our games, but you can't always have it when you need it. So,
It was
yeah,
also a
I'm a
lot
little
less common back then than it is now.
yeah.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I feel like it's mythic, but I also acknowledge that I'm biased because I enjoyed playing with it.
And like I feel like it's mythic, but I feel like I'm biased because I really wanted to stab you in the head
All
when
right,
you would
so
play Glory.
I mean we kind of have both sides there, and the fact that okay, it also has a graveyard effect, which all this is a weird block, but graveyard is the theme for the block, kind of sorta. So you have the theme. It's a powerful effect, and I don't know that Glory has lived to infamy in other playing circles like it has in ours. But who, maybe at least for the four of us at least. But Dirk and Mike,
I would say it's mythic.
I don't know. I think because it hasn't wowed me, and also because its counterpart in green at Rare Genesis doesn't feel mythic, I don't think it doesn't feel mythic to me.
like a good rare but not mythic.
Yeah, it just seems like a good fun rare.
See,
It is fun
yeah,
to
for
have it.
me, the reason why I would say it's mythic is because it's um, if you have creatures, which is a normal thing and everything, we're talking about a time when in a duel, if you're
Time to
everybody's
duel.
running monocolor for the most part, and all it takes is okay for 3, essentially you can't deal me any damage because my creatures will just jump in front and your creatures will be like, oh man, all your guys have cooties, and so you can't, unless you've got more creatures out than they can block, you essentially shut them down. And I know that focus is more on the creature side, but how you dealt lethal damage to a player was through creatures for the most part. Again, I know we can be like, well, this and that, but for the most part, creatures are how you dealt damage, and Glory shut that down. So that's why
It could also
it's
make your team unblockable.
exactly. So that
I don't
when
think
it hit
Mike.
the graveyard, it really changes the dynamic of the game.
I don't think Mike is saying, and I know Mike can speak for himself, but I'm going to do it
Right.
anyway. I don't think Mike isn't saying it's not powerful. Just you can have powerful cards at rare too. Just because something is powerful does not make it mythic. Mike's general sense of this is it feels like a rare card.
Right.
Is that right? So, but
Yeah, because also at this point it wasn't it wasn't bending any big things about the game anymore, because Odyssey was when Flashback was introduced. And, you had Icarid in Torment. So this whole block had been playing around with stuff like, oh, they're cards that do stuff in the graveyard. And this is, kind of the big finale to that.
Yeah. But what a finale this card is, so. Well, let's put it down as, I mean, that's like a 3 out of 4 split. So, um we can maybe put it down again as like a strong maybe.
Yeah.
We don't all have to agree on every single one. So, um we're spending some time with white, but that's because again, white and green are a big focus of this set. I wasn't really sure about any of the other white cards. I mean, I played the heck out of a Silver Seraph, but it's rare. It's to me, it's solidly rare. The only other white card I really thought might be mythic, and you guys can let me know your thoughts, is Solitary Confinement.
Solitary
Because
Confinement is my pick.
is your pick. Well, then I just talked about Glory, so why don't you tell them what Solitary Confinement does?
So for 2 and a white, it's an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Solitary Confinement unless you discard a card. You skip your draw step. Well, let me read the oracle text just a second. All right. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Solitary Confinement unless you discard a card. Skip your draw step. You have Shroud.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, you have Shroud, meaning you can't be the target of spells or abilities, period. And prevent all damage that would be dealt to you. All damage.
Wait, how much damage?
All. 1, 2, 3. All.
But what about this damage?
Yes.
Also that. Unless, of course, it says this can't be prevented, but yeah, then it's obvious. Yeah. So yeah, you don't draw cards the normal way. You have to discard cards to keep it up, but you're in a nearly impenetrable bubble,
Yeah.
as long as someone doesn't destroy Solitary Confinement itself.
The thought being, much like what's in the art, is you are in this temporary, and it's meant to be temporary, shelter. And in the meantime, your stuff can still kind of run amok and you can do what you need to do. It just buys you time. How people have broken this card is by finding other ways to draw cards and almost finding other ways to exploit the fact that you can't draw cards from your draw step, or turning some of these supposed downsides into upsides, like the continuous discard. And in the meantime, you can't be targeted, and you can't you effectively can't be destroyed. Heck, you can't be milled out if you don't draw extra cards. You just have to still maybe have a unlimited hand or something. People I know have used this card, and I don't know enough about, or I don't recall enough about competitive play to recall exactly what the decks were that used this, but I know that
Yeah, it showed up.
decks use this card. So, um, far as mythic versus not mythic, this is the really we've seen cards that say, you win the game. So I don't know that it's a stretch for something to be like, you effectively don't lose the game with this because, you know, you can't take damage. Is it unique enough?
I think so.
Or is it just kind of a unique little thing? You think so, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I'm For me, it's a very solid maybe, and I don't mean that as a knock. I mean, like, really, like, I was on the fence, and it's more just a matter of, like, I felt like I was, oh, white, this Wishes Mythic, and Glory is Mythic, and, and, well, actually, I guess in white, that's what I was looking at. But, um, I didn't know if it quite got there, but I can definitely see this getting there. What do you other two Yahoos think?
I was leaning towards it being mythic. it's like Mike said, you become essentially undefeatable as long as you are able to keep up the cost. And there, as far as I know, there should have been things that would allow you to draw cards at that time of play where you could keep this up.
Well, yeah, I mean, like there was Howling Mine.
Yeah.
Wait, does Howling Mine
Well, then
trigger upkeep or draw step?
Up, I'll check. Pretty sure it's upkeep. Oh no, never mind.
I was gonna
Draw
say
step.
nope. I'm
Howling
pretty
Mine is
sure
draw.
Howling Mine is the one that's draw step because
I
of
mean,
the way it works with the Sylvan Library or whatever that card was, and
Yeah.
all of those, like that. The words deck is the only reason I know that.
but I imagine that there were cards that would allow you to maintain playing your deck and everything.
Yeah,
And I
it's
mean, if that would be all you need to do is I'm going to play out a whole bunch of Howling Mines. I'm going to play this, and I'm just going to draw have my thing draw a card, and I'm going to just let you deck yourself. I win. There you go.
Unless they have a disenchant.
There you go. Unless you had, and you know, that's one of those things that comes with play and all.
You guys remember AJ? Like, that guy you kill?
Yeah.
He would
AJ.
he would run one-ofs of like every possible effect in his decks just in case. Like that one-of disenchant, and he had the best luck. He had the Yu-Gi-Oh! Heart of the cards. This is what I need to draw in this one instance. Oh, disenchant your solitary confinement. He was so good at that. It's almost supernatural. So, but dies to removal, I've always said, is not necessarily a factor because you can find a way to destroy anything.
Mm-hmm.
Chewy, what do you think?
Um, honestly, for solitary confinement, I got nothing. Like I can see all the things you're saying, but I can also see it just being a solid rare. Like I have
How about,
no opinion of it either way, to be honest.
I think your opinion is kind of closer to mine. Uh, on that note, are there any other cards in white that anybody thought were mythic?
Uh, I did love me a Pulse Mage Advocate back in the day, but I don't think it's mythic.
It's great for politics play. It is fantastic for multiplayer. But I completely agree.
Yeah. I used to like the advocates, but now I don't like them at all. I like the idea; it's really cool. I get what they're supposed to do, and it's nice that they were designed, but I don't like them.
Yeah. The Advocate. Okay, so Pulse Mage Advocate, just real quick, for 2 and a white, is a 1/3 that says tap, return 3 target cards in an opponent's graveyard to their hand, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you're giving people back resources to get something back to the battlefield. And yeah, the Advocates were of several cards that would give your opponents back cards from their graveyard to do something. And this was always the one that I really liked. What was the uncommon one?
There was one that was a naturalize in green.
Yeah, I think that was common. That was Nantuko Sumra. Let's look at the advocates.
I think that was the other one I was thinking of. Actually, was that one?
The uncommon one in green added a +1/+1 counter.
What was it called?
Force Mage Advocate.
Oh, okay. I can see the art
One
now.
card,
Yeah.
one counter. Yeah. Null Mage Advocate was the common one. It was 2 cards and a Naturalize. In white, the common one was Shield Mage Advocate. It was 1 card and prevent all damage dealt by a source of your choice this turn.
Yeah.
The uncommon white one was Spurn Mage Advocate. That was 2 cards and you destroyed target attacking creature.
Nope, that's the one I was thinking of. I always liked it too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as much as I love that card in multiplayer, yeah, it's not Mythic.
Did anybody consider Commander Aisha?
No.
No.
Or is it Esha?
I think it's Isha,
Isha.
actually.
It's a neat effect. No, I played it, but
Oh yeah, I love Commander Isha. 2/4 flying protection from creatures. Had that ever been done before? I don't think it had.
unlikely.
Beloved Chaplain was an uncommon, probably in the same set.
That's right. And it had a threshold?
No, just all the time.
Oh, just all the time. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was an Odyssey. It was a 1/1 for 2.
So.
Oh yeah, okay.
Then definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Commander
okay.
Isha is the first time I ever saw it. Because I started playing again around the time Torment and Odyssey were Torment and Judgment were already out, because Onslaught was my first new set.
Yeah, I know Torment came out when I was in high school. So yeah, they had been out.
Yeah.
Just we had asked chat for some discussion earlier, and then we haven't really referenced them. I will point out that Skytonic says that chat reports that chat is saying solitary confinement is Mythic.
Yeah, several people mentioned that it was Mythic.
Okay, but I think that
In
does
the
it for
chat.
white,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, nothing
Yep.
else in white really says anything.
So black.
Hey now, blue
mean-
has
Go ahead, finish that sentence.
blue has cards.
Yeah, the only
It
vibe
does.
the only mythic vibe I get in blue is Fang Manta. That's it.
And
Okay, what's that do?
I a little bit too, but that's more to me based off of how it worked at the time. Now it, yeah.
Well,
Go
how it
ahead.
worked at the time was stupid, but to me, anything that says extra turn is probably going to have mythic on it. So Fang Manta. Oh boy. So for 5 blue, it's a 6/1 Nightmare Beast with flying. When it enters the battlefield, you skip your next turn. When it leaves the battlefield, you take an extra turn after this one. So there was, in Torment, in black, there were a bunch of nightmare creatures that temporarily took something from your opponent and then gave it back after they left the battlefield. In Judgment, they explored that further in blue and red with creatures that temporarily took something from you and then gave it back. Well, no, there were some red ones that took from your opponent too, now that I think about it. Maybe they were in a different set. Yeah, because they're not in Judgment. Anyway, whatever. Maybe they were in
Right.
maybe they were in Torment also. But anyway, so Fang Manta is temporarily taking one of your own turns, but then it gives it back to you after it leaves the battlefield.
So when you say the way this works at the time, explain that.
So the way that worked at the time. Oh, go ahead, Brian.
No,
please
Mike,
go
you
ahead.
better do it.
Yeah, there was a weird exploit because the phasing was just built up in a really just
stupid,
ignorant way.
Yeah.
Phasing would not trigger enters the battlefield effects, but it would trigger leaves the battlefield effects.
Yeah, for whatever reason. So if you could get a repeatable way to phase Wormfang Manta out, you would just get a steady stream of extra turns.
I remember I built that combo. There was a robe or some sort of blue enchantment that you could.
Vanish. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I remember sitting in class, and I'm not going to say which one. Yes, it's been 20 years since I've been in college. For real. Whew. And I'm still not going to throw this class under the bus because I was so bored that I was there and I was literally writing out the deck that I was going to try while I was quote unquote paying attention in class. And I remember getting the deck to work once and being like, yes, okay, good job. Because, what else do you do with a deck that takes infinite turns other than do it once and then never do it again? But it was super clunky because I had to get out a 6/1, get out the robe, protect it, including through the turn that I did in fact lose, and then question mark profit. Basically, just tell everybody I've got instant turns. Are we done? Because sure. Um, and keep in mind, phasing was not really bad. Like now we're actually seeing phasing again. Phasing was not back. Phasing was only in Mirage. So
So you had to dig deep for the one or two cards that would actually help you do this.
and trust me, as someone that did this, I did. But is anybody else going to bother? Mm, so I think where I'm going with this is, and Chewy's been waiting very patiently, and I appreciate that. In the analysis of Wormfang Manta, do we include a discussion about phasing? Well, we have at this point, but should we? Uh,
I
like as
mean,
far as when this
probably
was
not.
probably not. So when this was printed, this is a 6/1 that flies that eats a turn from you, and then you get it back when it dies for 7 mana. But to Mike's point, if not Wormfang Manta, then Spelljack?
The first time I actually successfully cast Spelljack, I was severely disappointed.
I thought, okay, when I saw Spelljack for the first time, I'm like, that's amazing. And then I thought about it, and I was like, I want it to be amazing. Spelljack for 3 and 3 blue, and I need the Oracle text for this one. Watch, it'll work exactly the same, but for 3 and 3 blue, it's an instant. Spoiler, it's a counter spell. The first line is counter target spell. So you're holding up 6 mana for a counter spell. Now, if that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. You may play it without paying its mana cost for as long as it remains exiled. If it has X in its mana cost, X is 0. So I saw this, and my little, like, I started playing yesterday brain is like, I get their card for free. You don't get their card for free. You get their card for 6 mana.
For six
And you get to
mana that you didn't spend doing something useful.
right. And I mean, yes, you're stealing it from them. So it's a little bit like life stealing from somebody. You steal 2 life from somebody, gain 2 life. It's a 4 point life swing. So here, it's kind of like a 2 card swing because you're taking it from them and you're going to start beating them with it if it's a creature. But at 6 mana, you have to hold up. So. eh. So no, really. I mean, for reals, I have nightmares about Scalp Alexis because one hit me one time and like milled my whole library. This was before I was playing EDH, but no, I mean like I got nothing for blue. I'm 100% serious. I got nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I said earlier about, extra turn cards just being mythic, that's not universally true. Even in sets that had the mythic option, not every extra turn card that's been printed since then was mythic. Some of them were rare just because of how they
I
worked.
I I don't disagree with you that I definitely think it is a factor. When I see take an extra turn, it definitely gets a nod in that direction. I mean, Time Warp has been reprinted at Mythic, and that is literally all the card does. I agree, not always, but it is a step in that direction to be sure.
Yeah.
But
Wormfang Manta feels, because it loses a turn for you, it feels like it's fine
yeah.
at rare.
So Chewy and Dirk, what do you think of the color blue?
I
Here.
mean,
Yeah.
we've got Cunning Wish, assuming we went with that. A case could be made for Scalp Alexis just because it's so freaking bizarre.
It's really weird.
It
Like,
is
for
really
4 and a
weird.
blue, it's a 1/5 flying beast. Well, is it still a beast? Let's see. It is. Huh. And it reads, whenever Scalp Alexis deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles the top 4 cards of their library. If 2 or more of those cards have the same name, repeat this process.
It doesn't say non-land, by the way.
It does not. And remember, as Brian said this before we
Sure.
were playing EDH, this was before EDH.
Yeah.
So, like, playing a singleton deck was something weird that you were doing for some reason. It wasn't, like, a standard way of playing.
Yeah, you could. But this was also, yes, invasion cards were still around, but not every deck was multicolor. So against that one guy playing mono white, you might be like attack with Scalp Alexis, and well, there's 2 planes. Let's go again. Oh, there's 2 planes. And by that time, you've already milled 12 cards, and I don't think that that's, as they say, magical Christmas land. That's not that hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, the difference is, though, with milling, until the last card is milled, it literally doesn't matter. Unless it happens to take away all of your tools. But,
Yeah. It's more psychological warfare.
Exactly, yeah. But, like, I
that
could
totally
see a
takes me
case
back.
being made for Scalp Alexis because of the psychological warfare aspect. But I could
Did you-
also see you going, no, that's stupid. And I'd be like, yeah, right.
I don't want to spend time on stuff because we need to. That's not important because we need to keep moving. But I really appreciate the psychological warfare aspect. I think I have told you guys about the first real competitive deck I built for the Star Wars TCG game, where the whole point was I found a synergy where you could mill the opponent's deck, but I did so in a way that they didn't know what they were losing. So, like, imagine, like, okay, mill the top 10 cards of the opponent's deck, but they're exiled face down.
See,
And I
that's pretty funny.
loved that. I loved that.
Oh yeah, that's
Because,
right.
especially in that
It was that
game,
card that turned the lost pile face down.
yep, and in that game, almost even more so than Magic, your cards were your resources. So I did not win a whole lot, but it was just funny to me that they might be missing their like key combo cards and have no idea. So anyway, not to spend a whole lot of time on it, but psychological effects, I dig it. But blue is just very, if you'll forgive the pun, is just very shallow in this set. It's just weird. So,
Mm-hmm.
shall we move?
Is that
Blue
a
is the
pun?
red of this set.
Blue is the. Wow. Take that.
Harsh,
Is that a
but
digger?
fair.
Is that a bigger dig at blue or at red?
Yes. Okay, let's go to black.
Let's go to black. So, black.
So, like, Sutured Ghoul, just because that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing on here. Sutured Ghoul is the one that had its own deck. Like, its own tournament deck.
Yeah, but even without the silly combo deck, it's still wow.
Yeah,
Check
so
it out.
for 4, let's read the Oracle text. For 4 and 3 black, it's a zombie with trample. Huh, I think I forgot that part.
Yeah.
As Sutured
That's
Ghoul
important.
enters the battlefield, you exile any number of creature cards from your graveyard. Sutured Ghoul's power is equal to the total power of the exiled cards, and its toughness is equal to their total toughness. So what was the combo? I don't even remember.
You use Hermit Druid to dump your graveyard into your library into your graveyard. You end up with a mountain. Anger is one of the creatures in your graveyard, and then through some shenanigans, you reanimate Sutured Ghoul, and it has haste, and it's enormous.
There you go. So yeah, that was the combo. Now, without the combo, it's still kind of like Mike said, it's still kind of ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's neat, and it's something that everybody sees it, and they immediately get it, and they're like, oh, this could be the biggest thing because it's everything in your graveyard, kind of. So, like it.
yeah.
Is it Mythic though? I don't even know. Maybe?
Possibly. I looked at Morality Shift just for sheer impact. For 5 and 2 black, sorcery, straight up exchange your graveyard and library. Then shuffle your library, which, by the way, it's referring to your new library, not your graveyard. That's why it says then. I mean, that's pretty big, right? We talk sometimes about how your graveyard can be a second library, but this is actually making it a fact.
Yeah, but what if it was your first library?
Well, then your whole graveyard is your library is in your graveyard now. So, wait, hold on. Yeah.
What he said. I'm fine with Morality Shift staying at rare personally.
Okay.
I'm not sure why it just doesn't jump at me as mythic-y.
Because it doesn't. It does probably because it doesn't do much on its own.
That's probably it. Yeah.
The whole rest of your deck has to be the setup for it before it can do anything.
Yeah. And like 2 of the cards in black here, Balthor the Defiled especially. I've got like 8 copies of Balthor the Defiled. Because any sort of black deck that has creatures in it, well, I'm gonna throw a Balthor in it.
Well, yeah.
But well, okay, Balthor for 2 black is a 2/2. He's got he's just a zombie dwarf still. Okay, legendary zombie dwarf. All minions get +1/+1. And this was before those little yellow dudes were a thing, so. And then for 3 black and exile Balthor, each player returns all black and all red creature cards from their graveyard to the battlefield. And like, I don't think that's mythic. I just love that card so much.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I agree.
But
okay.
not a mythic. And then Guilt Feeder is my other favorite one.
Guilt Feeder rules too.
Yeah. Let's see. This Guilt Feeder is a 0/4 horror for 3 black with fear, because he's very scary. Look at him. And whenever Guilt Feeder attacks and isn't blocked, the defending player loses 1 life for each card in their graveyard. And remember, this is a graveyard block.
Not to mention anything they've played and killed is in there too. And you are in black. So even if they're not playing that way, you can make them play that way. It's neat. It's just not rare. Well, it is rare. It's not mythic.
No.
No.
So
So
yeah,
I think we all agree on Suture Ghoul and question mark on Morality Shift.
I
Mm.
mean, I don't even
Yeah,
have a question mark on
that's fair.
Morality Shift.
Okay.
Search and Ghoul,
Well,
though, I think given the fact that everything else kind of sucks, I could see Search and Ghoul. I mean, Death Wish we've decided is already mythic, I think. But Search and Ghoul I could totally see, but I could also see it not. But I'm leaning more towards yes, I think. Built-in trample in black, especially, is kind of silly.
Mm-hmm.
So red,
Right.
so red. Not Dwarven Blood Boiler. I have one or two others that I'm thinking maybe, but not that one. Yeah, on a serious note, World Gorger Dragon. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that's
probably.
without, again, the shenanigan, which we'll get to in a second, because you can't talk about World Gorger Dragon without talking about that other card. So World Gorger Dragon for 3 and 3 red is a 7/7 Nightmare Dragon with flying and trample. When it enters the battlefield, exile all other permanents you control. And yes, that does include lands, very specifically. When it leaves the battlefield, return the exiled cards to the battlefield under their owner's control. So, would it have been printed as Mythic at the time? I mean, the big creature, 7/7 flying and trample for 6 mana at the time. That's
Yeah.
pretty redonkulous.
Yeah, that
It's
is
got the effect
unheard of.
with the huge drawback of this is all you have, including your lands. So you get all that back when they kill it, but then they kill it. It
Yeah.
comes back untapped, which is part of the issue with the card, the other card. But
Yeah, there was an infinite mana combo with this, and was it Animate Dead?
It was Animate Dead. Mm-hmm.
yep,
Yeah, that we're not going to
the
explain because it'll actually hurt your brain if you don't know it already.
it's actually pretty straightforward. You just
Yeah,
Animate Dead
something.
is an enchantment, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So with World Gorge Dragon in your graveyard, you tap all your lands for mana. You add it to your mana pool because that's a thing that was then. Um, you play Animate Dead. Animate Dead comes in and says, "Hey, bring back World Gorger Dragon." World Gorger Dragon enters the battlefield, exiles all your permanents, also exiles Animate Dead. Animate Dead says, "Oh, I'm going away. The dragon needs to go back to your graveyard." Goes back to your graveyard, but when it goes there, all of your other stuff comes back, including your lands, which are now all untapped, so you can tap them for mana
And
and
including
put
your
them,
Animate Dead.
and including your Animate Dead, so that with that trigger on the stack targeting the newly re-dead dragon, you tap all your lands for mana, add that mana to your mana pool, and then allow the Animate Dead trigger to resolve, and repeat this as many times as you like until you have all the manas in your mana pool. Ah, yeah. So that's the combo. But 7/7 with flying and trample for 6 mana. Nowadays, I think if you threw haste on there, you'd be in pretty good shape. But at the time, it's a big impact. It's a big impact on your opponent's face, and it's a big impact on your own board. And this is the definition of high risk, high reward. Because what happens when they throw a pacify on this? You cry.
You
That's
cry,
that's the
yeah.
right answer. You cry, yeah.
Or you
So
probably concede.
yeah, you're like, well, thanks, went all this trouble. So it is high risk, high reward. If not, let me say this: if not World Gorger Dragon, then what? And don't say Dwarven Blood Boiler.
uh,
I will leave.
Lightning Cert. Wait, no.
No.
I mean, Breaking Point is really cool too. But none of this is mythic. It's just cool. Like Breaking Point for 1 red is a sorcery. It says destroy all creatures unless a player takes 6. And creatures destroyed this way can't be regenerated. So it's a 3 mana Wrath, but someone can take 6 to not Wrath. So it's either a 3 mana Wrath, which is awesome, or it's 3 mana for 6 damage, which is awesome. The problem is you don't get to pick.
Yeah, the problem is you get the one that you don't want.
Yeah.
Right now.
And so that's too bad. It really is. But it's such a cool card. There was a whole vertical cycle of the was it a vertical cycle or were there more than that?
It was
There was Browbeat, Skull Scorch, Breaking Point. I feel like there's another one.
There's another one. Book Burning.
Book Burning. Yeah.
Lava Blister.
That one I don't even remember.
Yeah, it destroys a non-basic land unless someone takes 6. It costs 2.
Takes 6?
Yeah.
Ooh. That was in this set?
I don't know if it was in this set or some other set in the Odyssey block.
What was it called?
What's it called?
Lava Blister.
I'll look it up.
I'm already there.
All right.
It is 6. I know it was in Odyssey. Oh.
Oh.
Okay, they were spread out. The this or that cards were spread out more than I thought.
Yeah. These were known as the Punisher cards because someone could eat damage to make you not do it.
Yeah.
Interesting. That no wonder I never heard of this one then because it's in the wrong set.
So
like chat brought up Jessica because this is a thing that we fall back on when there's nothing else to do really in the Mythic Conscriptions is legends that are legendaries that are part of the story. And but Jessica is such a boring card that I don't think it matters.
She's
I
not.
mean,
she's
I think
good. She's solidly rare.
I think we discussed Kamal in Odyssey, but first of all, he is actually the protagonist, like the main character.
Also, he throws lightning bolts around.
And he throws lightning bolts around. She costs a lot less than he does. She can come out faster and start pinging faster. But she's also.
So what'd she do, Brian?
For 2 and 2 red, she is a barbarian, legendary barbarian.
A human barbarian warrior.
Human barbarian war. Oh, she's a warrior. Okay.
Yeah, that changes things.
She's a 3/1 with first strike and haste, and she can tap to deal 1 damage to any target. So I think she's fair.
Yeah. I mean, she's fine, but
she's not like amazing.
Yeah, and she wasn't like a major story character that anyone remembers or cares about until later.
Yeah, ironically enough, she's a lot more important in the next block, and she's not even Jessica. She's several other people instead.
She's like Moon Knight. Spoilers, I guess, except not really.
I haven't seen it yet, but
oh, dude, you should watch it. It's a trip.
We'll get around to it.
But yeah,
but
red
Jessica
is
to me
kinda...
is Jessica is a rare.
Yeah, like a solid rare. Not
solid
even
rare, yeah.
Yeah, not even. It's all right. Let's go to green then.
So let's go to green.
I just said that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Mike brought up how he doesn't think Genesis is mythic.
I remember when Inquest was like reviewing the set and had like their top 5 cards or whatever, and they put Genesis like way up there. And I was like, oh, that's amazing, because I don't know how to play, and these people tell me how to play. And so I got a copy, and I tried it in a deck, and it felt so slow.
Yeah.
Well, it is slow.
Yeah.
So Genesis for 4 and a green is a 4/4 incarnation that says at the beginning of your upkeep, if Genesis is in your graveyard, you can pay 2 and a green. If you do, you get a creature back from graveyard to hand.
That's
it's
the slow
hand.
part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that is slow.
Yeah.
My brain had it as Battlefield, but that's the Pulse Mage Advocate, not Genesis.
If it had said to Battlefield, then absolutely this would be Mythic.
Yeah.
That would be kind of ridiculous.
That'd be kind of ridiculous. Get this into your graveyard, then every turn pay 3 to
Cool.
just.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay,
and I mean,
then,
don't
yep,
get me wrong.
I retract everything that I was gonna say
There we go.
because I hadn't read the
RTFC.
card again, apparently.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, Genesis, I remember Genesis. Genesis was busted. No, it wasn't. I
No, it
misremembered.
wasn't.
This is why eyewitness testimony is not great for criminal trials, right, Brian?
That is actually a noted fact. Yes. The human brain is actually not a computer, despite what the mentalist tells you. Yeah. I don't think it's a bad card. It's just not amazing, and I don't feel like it's mythic.
No, not at all.
No.
My bad.
Solidly rare.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
Sylvan Safekeeper was one of the first invitational cards.
Sort of.
Sort of.
I think it was
Wasn't
the
it
first.
like-
Was it the first invitational? The second invitational winner? Something like that was Ollie Rod?
Yeah, but they took a while to like actually make the card.
Yeah, he
right?
turned in something that wasn't serious, and they're like, "Come on, man!" And then several years later, he realized, maybe I should have been serious. So he worked with someone, and they put in the set.
Yeah. But as far as something that's actually mythic, how do you guys feel about Crush of Worms?
I was
Because
right about to ask, is Crush of Worms a Timmy mythic?
as a Timmy Johnny, I would say yes. And once again, like some of the other cards we talk about, you can tell this was the first set that I really started playing in. I have a bias because I played with this. But holy cow, man, like every time I did, it was never a disappointment. Was never a disappointment. Crush of Worms for 6 generic and 3 green mana, so 9 total, with a flashback of 3 additional mana on top of that, so a flashback of 12 mana. Put 3 6/6 green worm creature tokens into play, which over the course of the game, especially in multiplayer when you can get up to 12 mana, which happens, that is 6 6/6s spread out over a couple turns.
Not today, Satan.
Satan's
I'm
like, I'll
just
call
kidding,
back.
Satan. Come on.
Yeah.
You know you're always welcome here.
So they don't have trample, but
But they're 6/6.
they're still 6/6s. Yeah, and the fact that it's all this power contained in one card, it's stupidly expensive because it has to be. It's funny that this is in the same block as Call of the Worm, because Call of the Worm is, by contrast, extremely mana efficient, just stupidly. But this is so impactful. As soon as you resolve it, everybody's like, "Wait, what?" And then you like run them over.
I mean, this is efficient too. You're getting a better deal per worm with Crush of Worms versus Roar.
You are, but I'm just Roar of the Worm is silly because its flashback cost is so cheap.
It's 4. Yeah.
Also, Mike is doing that whole buying in bulk is better. But if you're broke, you can't afford to buy in bulk, so you don't. And this is speaking as someone who was too broke to buy in bulk for a very long time. Like, yes, Crush of Worms is better per worm. Like
I know.
it's way better. But
That
if you're
comment was
spending,
mostly joke.
I know. Shut up. I'm explaining though. But
Okay.
spending 9 mana, if you don't have 9 mana, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it might
It's
as well
like
be a
you
million.
can go to Costco and get a 40-gallon vat of mayonnaise. But like, if you can't afford the 40-gallon vat of mayonnaise, or if mayonnaise makes you want to vomit, in my case, you have to keep buying the jars one at a time. Don't buy 40-gallon vats of mayonnaise, though. That's disgusting.
Yeah. Unless you run a commercial kitchen, then maybe you need it.
Maybe consider not having so many mayonnaise-based products, though. But if we don't have anything else, or even if we do, I think I think you're right. I think Crush of Worms might be a Timmy Mythic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's big, it's flashy, it's ridiculous, and Timmy's will in fact go, whoa, I know this because much like Brian, I did the same thing. And I actually remember thinking, why would you play Roar the Worm when you've got Crush of Worms? It's 3 times better. What are you, high? Excuse me. Would they have made Ernam Jin a mythic just because he was like the face of the set?
Yeah, I don't know. What did we say about Sanger Vampire in Torment?
I
Do you remember?
I don't
I
remember.
don't remember.
Chat, do you
Yeah.
remember? Because that was a long time ago now.
Ask Pepperidge Farm. Maybe they'll remember.
Pepperidge Farms doesn't listen to this.
But yeah, I
for
mean,
sure.
that was a big deal. It's like, oh, Ernam Jin is coming back. It was like, oh, awesome. And it was like, oh, wow, this isn't as dominating as I remember it.
Mm-hmm.
This is when you could start to tell, hey, creatures are better than they used to be.
Yeah, so Ernam Jin, by the way, for 3 and a green, is a 4/5. Now you have to remember this was before creatures got pushed again in when was that? I don't remember now.
But it was
Yeah,
getting
really.
it was getting close to that time.
It was about the time I was starting to play. So we're talking about definitely sometime between Onslaught and
Like Ravnica.
Ravnica was what I was going to say. Thank you. They were starting to head that way.
Yeah.
They were getting more efficient.
But like Ernam
Like
Jin.
they had the
Oh, go ahead.
they just as an example, they had the first straight up 3/3 for 3 with no drawbacks, 2 green and 1 I think in Kamigawa. So they're trending that way. Now you were gonna say about the Ernam Jin.
Yeah, now Ernam Jin is much older than that and is a 4/5 for 4. Like Ernam Jin was the finisher in its own deck. It was called Ernam Geddon.
Mm-hmm.
But it says at the beginning, the drawback, quote unquote, at the beginning of your upkeep, target non-wall. Does it still say that?
Yes.
It does. Wow. Target non-wall creature an opponent controls gains Forest Walk until your next upkeep. So basically, the whole point is in order to have this efficient creature, you have to make one of your opponent's creatures unblockable. So you pick their smallest thing or something they don't want to attack with. There, okay,
Yeah.
Easy. And you get a 4/5 for 4, which again, which was the style at the time. That's insanely good. When was Ernam Jin printed? Like
Arabian Knights.
Arabian
Reprinted in
Knights.
Chronicles.
Yeah, that was the one I was thinking of. Was Arabian Nights and then again in Chronicles. It was also one of the 2 faces of the Beatdown box set. Like, it was an iconic creature. And it's possible that they might have pushed it to Mythic because it was like the face of the set, but I don't know. I don't.
I think they recognize that
they recognized in reprinting it that it was safe to do so, and I think even then they would have realized, no, this is just a decent creature.
Yeah, I think it was more of, instead of a power thing, it was more of a fan service thing.
Yeah, like Singer Vampire and Torment before.
Yeah, yeah. I know that Seed Time was a card that people were concerned about. I don't know if it ever did anything in the tournament scene.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know
Really?
that it did.
But it was a hell of a sideboard card. Seed Time, for 1 and a green, is an instant. You can only play it during your turn. And it says, take an extra turn after this one if an opponent played a blue spell this turn. So it was your sideboard card against counter spells. If someone tries to counter one of your things, you can go, oh, yeah? Well, Seed Time, I get an extra turn. Nah. But it is so narrow that I don't even know.
Nah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if it did much. It's not Mythic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And Thriss is just a big dumb rare.
Oh.
Phantom Nantuko, these Phantom cards were like, this is what I was referencing a couple weeks ago when we did, or a few weeks ago when we did shield counters. The Phantoms were like the early form of shield counters. Like there's another one later down in gold, but it's, if damage would be dealt to Phantom Nantuko, prevent that damage and remove a +1/+1 counter from it instead. But this one could tap to grow. So eventually you could have a big ass trampler. But still not Mythic?
Nah.
Yeah. I would say it's rare.
It's really
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, it can take a punch on the chin.
And then tap to just pretend like that punch didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Which was the thing. Block, remove a counter, tap it, add a counter. Okay. So, yeah, like, I guess it's Living Wish and Crush of Worms? Oh, we never read Sylvan Safekeeper. Did we? I don't think we did.
No, we didn't.
No.
What is he now? A human wizard. Oh, okay. So he's, for 1 mana, is a 1/1 human wizard, and the ability is sacrifice a land, target creature you control gain shroud until end of turn. Nice and simple. I'm not.
It's fine at rare, I think.
Yeah.
Because even in later sets, it's still Commander,
I mean,
Anthology.
it is neat because it's like, okay, when you have plenty of lands that, and maybe you're not building up to like a 9-mana spell.
Yep.
It's all of your creatures are very, very difficult to kill because they're like, I'm gonna target it, and you're gonna be like, it has shroud now. So,
But I mean,
good job.
also we've all had those creatures where like, all right, if this just survives till my turn,
Yeah,
then I've got this. And Sylvan Safekeeper could totally
yeah.
make that happen. But
And so, what do you do? Do you target the creature you really want to kill, or do you target the safekeeper? And neither
Ooh.
answer is probably correct. Because the safekeeper can protect himself. So, yeah. He's good, he's just not a mythic.
Yeah, it's weird that in this green centric set we're having issues finding anything mythic in green other than a wish and a crush of worms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
Huh.
Well,
Well,
I
let's
mean,
look
again,
at-
epic struggle if you're looking for an alternate win condition.
gotta get those 20 creatures.
So let's go to these 4 golden cards.
Golden cards. I tried for the longest time to make hunting grounds work because I'm like, it's gonna be so awesome. And it just And it can be. I'm not saying it's not an awesome card. I'm just saying it is not a straightforward, like, just, holy cow, this card is ridiculously broken kind of thing.
Yeah.
I
It
had it
takes
in
a lot of help to get it rolling before your hand empties out.
I had it in the
Yeah.
mass kill deck.
Hmm.
It was a great way to just vomit out, symbiotic worms or penumbra worms or something to punch people with before I wipe the board and buy a rhythm to win the game like a bastard.
Mm-hmm.
That was really dirty, by the way. I apologize for that. But yeah, hunting grounds. So for a green and a white is an enchantment. When you have threshold, it says whenever an opponent plays a spell, you can put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield.
Don't have
Plays.
to pay it or anything. Just go straight
Yeah.
onto the battlefield.
Plays a spell. Any pick a spell, any spell. My favorite was naturalize your hunting grounds. Oh yeah? Well, here's a 7/7. Yeah. Okay, it's in the graveyard. And threshold, remember, for those of you that are just babbies, threshold is when you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard. So there's that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Cannot include hunting grounds.
well, yeah, because hunting grounds has to be on there. It could have another copy of hunting grounds. That's fine.
Yeah.
I remember Devin once tried something like that. He was like, okay, well, as my hunting grounds goes to the graveyard, I have threshold. And we're like, no. I don't know why that one instance sticks out in my head. It might not have been hunting grounds, but he tried that exact thing.
It's like, right, stop that.
So the other 3, though, are all pretty big. The Anerid Brushhopper was huge in tournament play because there's a 3-mana 3/4 that could save itself.
Yeah.
Because you discard 2 cards from your hand, you exile it, and it comes back at the end of turn. So it's that delayed blink. And the discarding 2 cards is, kind of rough, but I mean, madness was a thing. It's fine.
Yeah, between, madness applications and building up threshold and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Flashback cards in the graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that makes it mythic, like at all.
No.
Although, is it a frog yet? It is a frog beast, so now it's mythic, but not in the rarity way, but in our hearts. The other 2, though, I'm gonna go ahead and say these are both probably mythic.
The Mirarios.
Probably. Yeah.
I think so, yes.
All right,
And
somebody
Mirari's
tell us
Wake
about
has
one of
been-
them.
I was going to say, Mirari's Wake has been reprinted at Mythic since then.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Yeah, in multiple sets. So, Mirari's Wake is an enchantment that costs 3, a green, and a white.
Oh.
Creatures you control get +1/+1, and whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana of any type that land produced.
So it's a floor wax and a dessert topping.
Yep, it's a personal anthem and a personal mana flare, heartbeat of spring, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So it's a better Gauntlet of Might.
Yes, that's right. It's Gauntlet of Might is specific to red creatures and mountains.
But this is specific.
But I think
to
Gauntlet of Might
you.
works for everyone too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Mirari's Wake is specific for you
Hmm.
of whatever colors and flavors. So, yeah. And at 5 mana, it's reasonably costed. Like an Anthem costs 3, and a Mana Flare costs 3. And this is just you, and it's 5? Yeah, all right.
Well, in my recollection was, anytime you played the Phantom cards, if you had the Mirari's Wake out, they were immortal.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're
From
not
regular
wrong.
damage, they could not be killed. Because the Phantoms, I forgot to mention this part.
Zeros.
Yeah, they start at 0/0 for the most part. So what's the Phantom Neshoba do?
Phantom Neshoba for 5 and green white is a 0/0. Let's see what it's. Cat Beast Spirit.
Oh, kidding.
That has trample. It enters the battlefield with 7 +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever it deals damage, you gain that much life. And if damage would be dealt to it, prevent it, remove a +1/+1 counter from it.
Forgot about the lifelink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the lifelink is what makes it.
So it's for 7, you get essentially a 7/7 to begin with lifelink. That is a phantom.
Yeah, so they can't kill it easily.
With trample.
Yeah. This is another of those Timmy mythics, I think, because it's got a whole lot of text. If one resolves against you, you will possibly poop a little.
Yeah, you definitely look at it and go, well, that's a problem. It'll take a lot of effort.
And I think that this would have been another Timmy mythic.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Plus, he's got like Freddy Krueger hands.
Yeah, I mean it fits. It's green. It's got to be Timmy.
Wow, this was weirder than I thought.
Yeah, it was.
Like, I figured white and green would have several, and the rest we would be able to find something, but... This time, the easiest ones to find were white and red. What?
And gold.
And gold, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, there you go. As always, be sure to let us know in the Discord or on Twitter or in the comments or whatever what you think. What were we completely wrong on? I guess, is there one person out there who stands Selfless Exorcist? God, I hope not. That would be weird. But
that would be, yeah. But who knows? Maybe their day has come.
Someone, when you threw off on Dwarven Blood Boiler, was like, Brian, you can catch these hands! Don't you know Dwarven Blood Boiler is the secret to my Dwarvish Kill Brian deck? I just renamed it that because of you.
I think I've heard of that one, yeah.
Come out of the booth.
I'm never playing with you because, you have a deck that's made to kill me. And I don't think in the game either. But
also, I feel really bad that we didn't mention that Fledgling Dragon is a baby that at Threshold becomes a Shivan. That makes me sad that we didn't say that, so I had to say that.
Yeah.
It's neat, but yeah.
Shivan Dragon.
So,
yeah,
with that, I guess we'll be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're pretty focused this time because we, started a little later than usual, so we went right into it and we were all business.
Biz-nas.
Yeah.
So, how about the final thoughts then, my dorks?
My final thought is I'm a little tired. I was telling these guys I finished up a jury trial this week, which, contrary to what Law and Order would have you believe, we don't do them all the time, and when we do, they are very draining sort of things, and they require a lot of thought. And earlier this week, when I was trying to wrap one up, the night before we finished, I literally couldn't sleep because I was going through my head everything that had happened, everything anybody had said, and I was working on my closing argument in my head when I was trying to tell my stupid head, "Hey, you need to sleep," and my head was like, "Yes. However, have you considered the precedent in this other case?" And I'm like, "The jury doesn't need to hear about that, brain. They don't need to hear about that." So, and on for several hours. So, I am tired, but it was a good effort for the client, and all's well that ends well. I'll just say that. So, it was worth it. and uh, I am just trying to make up the sleep now. But I am happy to be here with you guys, especially after missing a week. Hope everybody out there on the internet is doing well. Also, again, just because I wasn't here last week, I too was shocked by the fact that Wizards of the Coast bought the property called D&D Beyond. I was shocked because for some reason they didn't own it in the first place. But I don't uh, I don't keep up with these sorts of things, so whatever. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna go get some sleep now. So you guys have a great night.
Night B.
No.
I'm gonna follow Brian and just say that packing up a house is not fun. I don't have any major thoughts or anything of that sort myself. Oh, I don't. Yeah, I think I mentioned last week about the next WoW expansion that it sounds awesome. I'm hoping the best. I'm not gonna play it. I just don't have the time anymore to do it. Uh, yeah, I don't have anything to add to my final thoughts beyond that. So with that, I'm also heading off to bed. So you guys have a wonderful night.
Night, Zerk.
Good night, Dirk.
Well, how about you there, beardy man?
Yeah, this was pretty interesting to go back and look through because it is one of the first sets that well, no, it wasn't one of the first sets that we all played together, but it was part of that very like recent enough time period where there was still it was still easy to get packs of it in stores, and people could get the cards and add all the weird stuff to their decks between threshold stuff and flashback stuff and advocates and phantoms and all kinds of weirdo things that just generated a lot of fun. Even though a bunch of these are weird and clunky, they're still fun cards. And sometimes you learn a valuable lesson, like Spelljack is not worth sitting there holding up 6 mana for.
It's true. Oh, I've just found the list of blocks. We only have 2 left.
Really?
Yeah, but they're doozies.
Oh, yeah, what are they?
Time Spiral is next.
Oh,
Yeah, we never did a Mythic Conscription of Time Spiral.
interesting.
And then Lorwyn.
Huh.
And then we're done.
Wow.
So in another 2 years or so, we should have knocked these out. Dang. So is that it for you?
And we can start our series on the what should have been secret rare or whatever other thing gets introduced next.
Yeah. Actually, I don't think we'll be done after that because we should probably hit at least the original like alpha, if not all the core sets. Then at least the first core set.
Okay, I remember someone suggested that, but we didn't actually do it. Alpha.
I don't think so.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we'll have to get that.
See, I think every core set might be a bit much, but
yeah, that won't be necessary. Because after Unlimited, there's no point. Because then it's just reprints from the previous core set and other expansion sets that we would have already talked about.
True. But anyway. So is that it for you there, Mr. Beard? I'm sorry, Mr.
Yes.
Beard was your father.
Yes, that's all.
How is your dad, by the way? It's been a long time since I asked.
He's doing okay. He'll never be, his leg will never be quite the same after all that. But he's still been working. He's still getting by. He's still doing what stuff he can, just with a kind of bum leg.
Good. For anyone that doesn't remember, however long ago, Mike's dad was in a pretty bad car accident.
Yeah.
When was that? That was
December of 2020.
Yeah.
November, December, yeah, in there.
Well, it's good to know he's chugging along nicely.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was really concerned there for a long time, as I know
Yeah,
you were.
so was I. But
Yeah.
but thankfully, he's a 60-year-old man in better health than I am, so he was able to heal pretty effectively.
Nice. All right then. As for me, before I do any final thoughts, we have to patreon.com/themanapool, become a lifeguard, etc., etc. The Mythic Lifeguards, let's do it in this order. In this order. Or you could not click, that works too. There we go. So, allow me to thank our Mythic Lifeguards: Al, Kim Ho, Scuzzo, John Parker, Jake Janssens, Mike, Team You Hellas Are You, PJ McMullen, Violet Moon, The Beast Father Aaron Goodwine, Jason Kaus, Andrew Hunt, Cody Buckowing, Casey, Gothic Man, Pinball Witch, Jason Doan, Mr. Dr. Lewis, Connor Kennedy, and ALK Alters. Yay! Thank you all so very much for your support, and to all of the lifeguards at every level, and all of you that listen and comment and hang out in the Discord and all of that. I love you all. So as for me, what do I have going on? I've been watching Moon Knight. It's really good. It's bizarre, which I think is why I like it. Oscar Isaac is acting his whole entire ass off in Moon Knight, especially the last episode where, good lord, we saw like 18 different emotions in like 3 scenes. Like it was insane how good he is. I'm just saying. Yeah, the first of the Hitman VR roleplay videos went up. I am working on the second one, but I'm considering re-recording it because of a couple of technical issues. Not the weird garbled audio from the first one. I haven't heard that again, but I'm gonna see if I can edit around these other issues. Hopefully I can and not have to re-record it, because I enjoyed what I got. Yeah, I still want to do more VR stuff because of sales over the last several weeks. I've picked up several new games. I did the first job in Job Simulator several streams ago. Job Simulator is a trip, and it's painfully accurate. And yeah, I want to do some like other stuff. The Climb 2 rather. I don't have the first one. And I Expect You to Die, which is like a spy themed escape room type game with different levels, where you're in essentially you're a James Bond type character in the villain's trap, and you have to find your way out or something like that. And it's very puzzly. And I finally picked up Super Hot VR. I got to do that sometime soon, and hopefully not break my leg or neck or something. So yeah, all that will be coming up soonish on twitch.tv/themanapool. Yay. And yeah, I guess that's good enough. So this has been episode 648 of the Mana Pool. Thank you all so very much for joining us, and don't wish for. No, I got nothing. Our Wishes Mythic. Thank you all so very much for joining us, and our Wishes Mythic. That'll work.